What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Vintage Chill and Chat with yours truly, Sammy Thunder, Mr. Vintage Baseball Card Show, self-proclaimed Mr. Vintage Baseball Card Show. I'm sticking with that because I go to so many card shows. I think I can claim that moniker as Mr. Vintage Baseball Card Show. But anyway, moving on. Welcome, everybody. It's been a while. It's been a little bit since I've done another Vintage Chill and Chat. Figured tonight, let's do a live Q&A. Ask me whatever you want. There's a lot to discuss, lots to talk about. I'm happy to share whatever's on your mind. Granted, it's stick to the theme of hobby-related stuff, and don't ask me any weird questions because obviously, I'm not going to go into any personal matters. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the hobby. Let's have a discussion. We can either do that, or I can just show you my Christy Mathewson collection, as I've shown it a million times. So either way, I'm happy to go into any sort of discussion. You want to talk about PSA and how they're fucking up? Let's talk about PSA and how they're messing up and how they're just completely fucking up the whole program. Happy to go that route as well. Excuse my language, but I'm feeling a little, a little pent up about a lot of things that are happening in the hobby these days, as I'm sure a lot of people are feeling that way. Honestly, I'm surprised it took this long for PSA to figure out that they, needed to kind of put the brakes on. Honestly, man, they really screwed the pooch. They screwed the pooch completely. They didn't, this is kind of a clear tell that they did not have a plan. They did not have an agenda. They did not know how they were going to organize this. So they take everybody from SGC over to PSA after the acquisition to do what exactly? Even taking all the SGC graders over to PSA didn't solve their problems. It actually made it worse. PSA, they wanted to get the SGC graders kind of up to speed on the PSA standards and everything, but okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. You take all the SGC graders over. SGC ends up suffering because of the fact that now they have a backlog that's only getting deeper and deeper and deeper because you took all their graders over to PSA to kind of help clear out your own backlog, I guess, or they claim it was to kind of just get them up to speed on PSA standards. But now PSA has gotten themselves really into the shit by, the whole TCG explosion. There's submissions out the wazoo happening all the time. And now every grading company is suffering. SGC suffers because first off, they lost all their graders and now they're suffering. PSA decides to put the brakes on. Now SGC is like, whoa, wait a minute. We got our own backlog. You can't. Now we're going to have to, it's like a domino. Now they're going to have to, either stop all their, stop a majority of their submission offers. Then I hear CGC is doing it. It's a fucking mess. It's a fucking mess. And I'm sorry for swearing, but it really is. And it's a long time coming. I don't know, what has it been, 2 years since 2 years now? Over 2 years that PSA acquired SGC, or not PSA, collectors acquired SGC, and for 2 years now we had, we're in the dark, not knowing what was the plan, what was happening. Turnaround times are increasing. The inconsistencies between, just, I don't know, man, it's a mess. It's fucked up. And yeah, let's do a roll call and I'll get back to this. Jacob Dahl is here. What's up, Jake? Good to have you here. Ruben's here. Good evening. Mike from Jayhawker. Andy is here. Killer Brew Kurt, what is up? Jimmy's here. Dave from Peacemaker. Mr. Wilhelm, good to have you here. Sunday Fun Day. Yeah, I got a beer ready to go to crack into that. Ross loves cards. What's up, Ross? Brent Richards, what's up? Yeah, PSA sucks. They do. Andy, yeah, man, it doesn't come out that often, but we're gonna get to the bottom of this. And again, please, if you have questions, I'm making this a Q&A. Get me off this topic for now. I'm happy to answer your questions. That, just if you have a question, you want to hear my opinion or something like that, by all means. I don't normally do this, so this is an opportunity for me to kind of unleash a lot of shit. So yeah, Sammy Minute, it kind of feels that way. Honestly, it does feel that way. And with the National right around the corner, yeah, for real. I've been hearing dealers nonstop at shows talking about the fact that, like, what, it's like they're not going to have cards ready. They're not going to have cards ready. It's, they have stuff that's still there. Well, it's crazy, man. Like, how can you be a grading company and be okay with 6 month turnaround time? 6 months. That's crazy, man. That's insane. How can you be a grading company and be cool with that shit? That is fucking crazy. Like, what time frame are we living in now? I will say this. I'm not saying this was perfect. It was never perfect. Grading, but I remember there was a time when we were like huffing and puffing about the fact that it was like a month turnaround time with SGC. That it was like, oh my God, a month. And now it's like the acceptance level just keeps going up. Like, we're forced to accept it and have to psychologically adjust. From a month turnaround time used to be insane. Now it's like 4 to 6 months. Like, this is crazy, man. Yeah, PSA has been fucking up for years. Keep throwing money. Yeah. Well, listen, man. I can't. I just submitted I submitted my Willie Mays photograph that I just got back. That took about 3 months, and that actually made me wonder if the photo submissions are also halted in this whole process as well, because that's a completely different setup. All right, here we go. Ruben's got a question for me. Okay, when you go to shows, are you a collector or a dealer when you start looking at showcases? So yesterday when I went to the show, I was looking for stuff for my collection, but I mean, it really kind of depends. I would say for the most part, the card shows do not really produce opportunities for me to buy for my PC. I'm not saying all of them. There are some that have provided me opportunities like this. I mean, Strongsville is a great opportunity to add to my PC, but I would say I'm a mixture of both. To answer your short question, the short answer to that is I'm definitely both. Yesterday at the White Plains show, I was definitely a collector focused minded because I didn't have inventory money to spend. So it's a blend of both. It's a blend of both. I have never once paid to send in cards. I always bought them. Yeah, well, I mean, that's been my case as well lately, Jake, and I completely understand that. Which actually leads me to a thought that I had as I was driving home today from a card show that I set up at. What's going to happen now, considering that PSA's free, or collectors, whoever you want to call them, they're freezing up their submissions, and I imagine all the other grading companies are going to fall in line. So SGC being completely gutted and depleted, there's no chance in hell that they're going to be able to kind of continue. I mean, continue with their value submissions. It's just I know they just announced like turnaround time increase, but I don't know, man. But nevertheless, it made me wonder. I had a thought: will already graded slabs, become more in demand because of the fact that there's not going to be any really new submissions? There's still submissions that they're currently working on, so there are going to be more slabs coming out. But do you think that slabs are going to become more more in demand? The value is going to go up on them because of the fact that they're not taking submissions, except for probably really, really expensive cards that like $10,000 cards that people want to get back really quickly. But we'll see. Orlando, what's up, buddy? Good to have you here. Adam's Card Closet. Dylan, it's good to see you or hear you. Or glad you're sitting on your deck. I'm sure it's gorgeous where you are. Warren D in the CLE, what is up? Antonio, what's up? You made it. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying this. It's going to be longer than 6 months to get cards. That's ridiculous, man. That's just fucking like what. How? All right. It really made me wonder, like, how did we get to this point? Like, where, like, was this something that was like, was this could we have predicted this? I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure it could have been predicted. I don't know, man. Like, we got to this point where this is just a fucking shit show. Got my 55 card order coming back after 5 months. Crazy, yeah, crazy long time. It's insane. What's your most expensive car? Is a good time to sell? Oh, jeez, you know, we're not. Yeah, okay, Rick. You can answer that. You can answer that yourself, as you are Rick the Flipper. So this is something that you should know well about. I'm not going to answer that question. Dan, what's up, Dan? Good to have you here. You came in for a great live stream for tonight, man. We're going into it. We're cutting into the thick. I just submitted some cards I want ready for my grandchildren to set when I pass. Can't wait to get married and have a kid first while they were processing. Oh God, Max, I didn't, I was so pissed on your behalf, and I know you were probably pissed as well from your experiences with PSA and how they completely fucked up a submission that you. I mean, I think it was PSA, right? It was PSA, not SGC, but Jesus Christ, man. Like, all right. Yeah, I'm fired up. Man. I'm further and further shifting to auction house, right? Yeah, and that's kind of like, that's where a lot of collectors. I know Aaron, Value Vintage. He's a big auction guy. There's a lot of big auction people who love buying cards from auctions. Besides the big cards in the vintage football card market, when will the rest of the hobby wake up to the rest of the vintage football market? I don't know, Jake. That's a question. I do a lot of filming at the shows of the vintage football because I get requests of people asking me for it, but I don't really have much knowledge on the vintage football market area. I know a lot of people love it. I just don't have much knowledge on it, so we're gonna just leave it at that. Oh man, let's see. There will be plenty of PSA subs, in my opinion. 75 tier and up. Yeah, insane. I'm getting on the line right now for the in-person PSA drop-off line at the National. Let's do a live stream on that, David. Why don't you go ahead and set up a live stream? Let's see how the line looks. Donald E. Stevens, man. Donald E. Stevens. I heard they have the layout. I'm waiting for PSA to make that announcement right now so that people could start lining up with you. Poor planning on their part should not constitute an emergency on our part. Yeah, I don't know. It's an emergency on their end too because they have such a backlog of cards. It's a mess, man. It's a mess. I'm just trying to get through this. Wondering how a potential loss of 2027 MLB season will impact baseball card collecting. Hope a lockout doesn't happen, but maybe for modern, not for vintage. So it's not going to affect vintage in any way. It's going to maybe affect the modern market, but that's not going to affect. Cheers, everybody. Shouldn't affect vintage. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Warren. Plenty more to come. I want you to keep vending Sammy, but I'll play the other side. Maybe it'll fire you up even more. I'll play the other side. All right. Love the idea of grading cards, a way to ensure future generations can appreciate them. What was PSA supposed to do? Is it their fault they got so busy? Sounds like a good problem to have. You're right, Dylan. They're in a fantastic position because they're so in demand. They're so in demand. They're catching up on the overhaul of all the submissions of Pokemon TCG and everything in between. That it's incredible. It's PS and honestly, it was probably good that they did it, but now every other grading company is going to fall in line with that, because actually, yeah. So, okay, PSA needed to do this, and I don't disagree that this had to happen, but there's a helicopter out there that's really distracting me right now. Okay. What is this going to look like in the future? How long is this going to be? I can't remember if they said like 6 months or however long that they need to take to clear this 5 million card backlog. But what frustrates me is the fact that they acquired SGC, they acquired Beckett, and they had such a shit show of their PSA had such a shit show of their own that it sounded like they really just could not come up with a strategy or a plan because they were so in over their heads with all the fucking grading submissions and they just kind of left these other grading companies to, SGC to in the dust, Beckett in the dust, and now SGC is just is a ghost. It is a ghastly image, and it's remarkable that the loyalty is still there, and I'm very thankful that the loyalty is still there. But the fact that it's taking 6 months to sort this shit out to get your cards back is insane. I don't know if it's tell me for any grading historian here that's been grading for a long time, please tell me if it's ever been this bad. Having to wait 6 fucking months for your cards to come back, I feel is the longest that I've seen. So anyway, man. Jimmy says, I have 30 SGC cards to cross over to PSA and 48 cards to completing my set. I was going to drop them off and just pay the damn quick turnaround time. I don't know, man. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're taking in-house submissions. No way. I'd be shocked. If they do decide to do in-house submissions where you get your cards turned around the next day, you're going to be paying a huge premium. I don't know what that's going to look like. I see on Junkwax here someone's PSA submission said as yeah, that's fucking crazy. February 7th, 2027. Let me think about this for a minute. So today is May 31st. That's June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. Bro, 8 or 9 months. Get the fuck out of here. Come on, man. That's insane. Like I said, they are so deep in the weeds. CGC is backlogged. Yeah, man. They're all fucking feeling it. I don't know. Current SJC I sent under 49.50 bid, 50 business days, is currently sitting at received at 65 business days. That's all you gotta say, man. I mean, okay. What the fuck is going on over there? What the fuck is going on at SGC in particular? The only thing we heard was that they were moving a bunch of their graders over to PSA to handle or to get them up to speed on that. But ever since then, nothing. Silence. Radio fucking silence. Absolutely nothing. What the fuck? Like, there was a time where when Peter still had SGC and SGC was operating. It wasn't perfect. I know it wasn't perfect. There were issues there. But at least you had some sort of concept and of an idea of what the hell was going on. There was transparency. There was an idea or an understanding of what was going on in the grading landscape. Now it's a fucking mystery. And as vintage collectors, we are at the bottom of the barrel. Is it all because of TCG Pokemon, that explosion, that gigantic explosion that just completely went nuclear, where everything was overshadowed? Fuck. PSA folded my check in half. SGC didn't grade most of the cards I sent, despite me having many of them in slabs and other examples of this. It's, yeah. It's insane. What's up, Jason? Jumping on. Always good to have my fellow co-hosts with me. Collectors Universe should be hiring graders and staff year-round, not just when he gets busy. And apparently that seems to be what's happening, is that they are reinvesting money to get more graders to clear this fucking shit show. One thing PSA didn't have to do, they didn't have to buy out the competition when they didn't have capacity. Fucking yes. That is it. One thing collectors didn't have to do, they didn't have to buy out the competition when they didn't have capacity for even themselves. That is everything in a nutshell. They bought out the competition for just to be able to kind of keep them out of the picture. But let's be real. I mean, was SGC a significant threat to PSA? If we look back on the statistics, how much, and the TCG Pokemon Explosion, how many of those are being submitted to SGC? You look at the statistics now, hardly anything, hardly. Most of it, a lot of it is the vintage stuff being submitted. Was SGC really that big of a threat to PSA for the vintage market? PSA was doing fine with the vintage. They had a significant vintage crowd. SGC has a loyal vintage crowd. So what was the real underlying threat? Because things seemed really good at that point. PSA was still doing, Collectors Universe was still doing great business. Was it worth having to get rid of the competition in exchange for the nonsense shit that's happening now? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't talk about this. I don't generally talk about this stuff because I get worked up like this and I end up going on irrational rants like this. I don't know. And I kind of worry this is going to bite me in the ass somehow, to be honest with you. I don't know. Plenty of graded vintage slabs available to buy, sell, trade. Stay focused and don't worry too much about the business side of. I'm not losing sleep over this, Antonio. I'm not losing sleep over this shit. I'm just addressing it here because I don't ever get the opportunity to bring this shit up. And I feel as though this is a great time to discuss this, where we have a chat to lay down comments. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this stuff. I'm curious. I don't bring this up in my videos. I don't talk about this stuff that much, but I figured, what the hell? Let's talk about it now. Don't grade. Keep it ungraded, and there is no stress. Stress-free. Yeah. Simple as that. You can go that route too. It's been this bad. I had to wait 16 months for PSA value submissions in 2020. But you did, but the alternative you could have with SGC, I think could have submitted with SGC, which I don't know if SGC's turnaround time was nearly that bad. And Dylan says, yes, this happened before. And it too shall pass. 6 months at the earliest. Don't be surprised if. Thank you, Rudog. Yeah, it could. It could. TCG gonna TCG. Yeah, Shaheen, you got it, man. Damn right. 31 card bulk value, bulk or vintage order. Order arrived December 19th, 2025. Currently in assembly. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I just bought mag pros for the first time for my ungraded cards. I'm not selling the cards, so no need to grade right now anyway. That's another thing, is that there's a whole push for custom mag pros. I know, like Dylan, Mangini, and a lot of you guys, Brent, I think, does it as well. There's a lot of you guys that do these custom mag pro stuff, which is cool. I've never seen that side of you, Warren. I don't know if you go into rants after drinking a few cocktails. Oh, this is so much better than a Mangini rant. I can do a Mangini rant. What is going on with grading companies? We're not going to go there. I haven't done that in a while. The helicopter is PSA coming to. Awesome. I love that comment. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, common denominator is greed all through. Yeah, all across the board. It is. I'm trying to. Yeah, this chat is on fire, man. You guys are on fire tonight, man. Okay. I don't know what everyone is complaining about. I dropped off cards at the Philly show in March, and they're back. And then I submitted another 20 in April, and they're back too. Well, clearly, you are beloved, and you are getting your cards back super fast. In March, and they're back. That's crazy. That's good juju for you, RJ. Separated between TCG modern and vintage, but still not enough graders yet. Maybe one day they'll open their eyes. They do need graders. And so Orlando says over 70% of grading now is TCG. That explosion has gone, like I said, has gone nuclear. Here's a novel idea. Since collectors purchase SGC and back, instead of everything going to California, why not have regional grading centers depending on where you live in the country? I figured, well, PSA does have locations and offices in different parts of the world. So I don't know. When I was in Hong Kong, they have an office there. So anyway, man, I'm trying to keep up with the chat here. You guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. I'm starting to calm down a little bit. I can't believe there's people after the CU buyouts who actually believe this buyout would be a good thing for collectors universe buyouts. Yeah. Mr. Wilhelm says, do you ever far call your thunder? Also, you're rooting for the next. I'm not sure what you mean by the first question, so I'm going to skip that. And I'm not rooting for the Knicks because I'm a Celtics fan. I've always grown up being a Celtics fan, but I appreciate the fact that being in New York is exciting right now because of the Knicks. 100% honest, and I could care less, and it affects me zero. I feel for people who require them to run. But that's the thing, Dylan. I mean, I know it doesn't affect. It may not affect you as a collector as much, but if it means, it's a tough one. Let's shift focus to this. Let's talk about this a little bit. Does this whole debacle affect you as a collector? And how does it affect you? How does it not affect you? I'll give you some reasoning that I thought about. With a lot of new discoveries of raw cards, with discovery of new raw cards, both rare and easily found, but also very expensive, are dealers going to shift to selling raw, or they're just going to hold on to it and wait out this storm in hopes that the grading companies are able to fix these issues. And I wonder that because if they're going to hold out, they're going to hold on to the cards and not sell them raw. I would think that affects you as a collector because you don't have access to those cards now. I don't know. This is kind of a deep rabbit hole of the system. I'm glad PSA will have extra time to confirm all my submissions are min-sized. Yeah, man. God, can you imagine? That'd just be the fucking dagger. That'd be the dagger in your heart. I don't think blaming TCG is the answer. Folks created tons of the overproduced error as well. Same difference, but it's their money regardless if it is wasted. But it may not be to them. Just saying. I don't know, Warren. I mean, how did they get to this backlog to begin with? 5 million cards that they have to clear their runway for. I mean, Orlando. I don't know where Orlando got his source. But I'll take his word at full value. That 70%, over 70% is TCG. I mean, I'm not blaming TCG collectors, but it's certainly playing a huge role in why the backlog exists. There's a lot of money in it, so. And I can't blame collectors, for wanting to maximize their profits and wanting to put TCG on that pedestal because they want to keep getting more and more in. But I feel as though the fact that they couldn't have offered us as collectors any sort of idea or any sort of strategy in what they were doing to ensure that there was transparency for collectors and confidence to be able to submit their stuff. Because as a collector, I don't know if I can feel confident now with a 6-month turnaround time. I don't feel good about sending cards to grading companies now. It's not a good feeling. This is not a good feeling. So I can't say this doesn't, that this doesn't impact collectors, because I think it does. I've been telling people I don't ever grade it. My shit is ungraded unless I buy it graded. I would not support, because I keep supporting same bullshit. And that's the thing. There is definitely a lot of people who are not pleased with the landscape of grading in general, just in general. Yeah, man. Okay. Just looking through just give me a second, because I'm looking through the chat to see. There's a lot of dialogue. Brent with the acronyms completely on fire, totally crushed grading. Thank you, Brent. Man, 0 Sammy 0. All right, we'll see. Oh, this is a great question, Andy. Does gin or vodka make a better martini? Ooh, I gotta say vodka. I think vodka's the way to go. I'm not saying there's not cards out there. And I think my question of whether or not slabs are going to go up in value because there's less slabs being graded now with vintage, it's a very loose statement. And I'd imagine, yes, there's still going to be tons of cards out there. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dylan. The hobby was way more fun without grading. Back in the 90s, it was mostly raw stuff. They will sell it ungraded on most of the vintage. Waiting for a vendor to complete an order is never a good business model. You have to keep the flow of money in a small business. And that's the thing. I think there's a lot of dealers that are pivoting over to selling more raw. I was talking with, at the White Plains show, I was talking with Paul Borges, P&B Sports Cards, and he just came by a really, really nice lot of 52 tops and some really, really great looking cards. And normally, under most circumstances, with, if this was 2 years ago, prior to SGC being acquired, I don't think he'd have any reservations on sending stuff out. But now with this freeze, he has no choice. He has to hold on to them, because unless there was like a high profile card, which I don't think there was any huge high profile card in the lot that he had. But if there was a Jackie or a Mantle or a Mays or Ed Matthews or any of those cards, yeah, then I can understand. I can see him wanting to submit a high profile card to get it back quick. But our choices of what we're submitting now has become skewed completely. So, okay. PSA needs to separate TCG Pokemon from sports cards. This would hopefully resolve the backlog of sports card submissions, but doubt that would ever happen. We can dream. But the fact that they're just kind of making these announcements kind of tells me that they haven't really been very transparent over the span of the 2 years since acquiring SGC and Beckett. And the fact that they just keep making announcements of raising prices and turnaround times and now freezing submissions, it's just not a good sign, and the landscape is completely fucked. Alrighty. The dealers who are not able to submit right now will route that money into other things, specifically adding more to their pockets on auction nights ahead of National. Good luck. So Don, you're saying that they're going to be putting more of their money into already graded stuff in auctions to prepare for shows like the National to have inventory for that. Be interesting. Which kind of goes back to, if that's what you're saying, Don, that kind of goes back to what I was saying before, that already graded stuff is going to go up, is what I'm wondering. This all got out of hand when people started sending ultramodern off-grade mantles. Oh, man. Let's see. Here's my Debbie Downer comment. When economic bubble, all this will come back down to earth and there will be mountains of stuff out there. And demand for grading will also drop back to earth. We will see. We will see. Mark, 100% one day a PSA will be running specials again, trying to get more submissions. I guarantee it. Alrighty. Well, listen, guys, this was fun. I'm glad we were able to address some fun stuff. I'm glad we were able to have this conversation, and I'm glad that there's a lot of dialogue in the chat, because, yeah, again, I don't normally have these sort of discussions. I kind of try to stay away from it, but it got to a point now where it's just, it's got the whole thing has an icky feeling to it. And, there you go. I think Dylan should start a grading company. Well, a new grading company come in to fill the need. And so that was a question I had in the video, is that, like, CGC is sort of kind of out right now because they're also, feeling the heat, feeling the pressure of all these submissions. So like I mentioned, Mike Baker's grading company, but I was hearing kind of mixed opinions about, Mike Baker. But I've also been seeing more Mike Baker slabs at shows. So I think if you start seeing more and more Mike Baker graded cards in auctions and at shows, I think that'll be an interesting way to see what happens. So I'm not talking about the stickers. I'm not talking about the stickers worn. I'm just talking about the slabs. And there you go. So, Dylan doesn't like it. Dan is saying he's seeing more NBA slabs on auctions for sure. So, like I said, the way I see it, man, is, if the card presents super nicely, I don't care if it's in a PSA, SGC, an NBA slab. If the card presents super well, like I just bought a Kovacs second year for my inventory from a Mike Baker. That's in a Mike Baker slab. It's a low grade, but it presents super well, and it's an interesting project, I guess. Not a project, but an experiment to see if there will be a drawn interest at shows that I set up at, to see if somebody will take interest in it. So far, I've done 2 shows with this card. I haven't had anybody asked yet. But it makes me wonder if we start going to more shows and we start seeing more Mike Baker NBA cards being with vintage, will that change the opinion and the landscape? I think this is there is an opportunity to capture the vintage market based on the comments that I've read on the video that I published about this sort of topic. The most frequently found comment was, I still submit to SGC. I will always submit to SGC regardless. I'm sticking with them through thick and thin. I've gotten that. I've gotten criticisms about Mike Baker, about NBA. I've gotten criticism about grading in general, and there's people are only going to stick with raw. They don't want to grade anything because they think they don't believe in the idea of grading. So there's a lot of mixed opinions. As of right now, just based on the response, I don't feel like there is a lot of confidence in another grading company filling in that gap, as Andy was asking in the chat before. It doesn't seem like there's anything there's not going to be any sort of heroic company to come in. But it made me wonder, it got me thinking about how SGC kind of filled in the how they created that cornerstone of vintage collectors. How did SGC, like, what's the timeline of the history of SGC building this reputation for pre-war, and being able to have that loyalty, to have that trust? When did it start? Because as of right now, I've heard people say, I won't buy anything outside of SGC, PSA or SGC. Those two grading companies in particular. How did SGC get to be where they are, even after the acquisition? How did they become, just regarding vintage, I'm not talking about modern, not talking about TCG, just vintage. How did it become PSA and SGC side by side in the minds of collectors? So Shaheen says started when their head vintage grader Scott came back. Jacob Dahl says I really only get PSA and SGC, maybe Beckett. Jason's all about the Beckett slab. BGS, BVG, CGC, SGC, PSA, I'm fine with those. That's it. If the plastic makes it cheaper, I'm all in. But I'm just going by what I'm hearing at shows and what I'm hearing in the comments. Because when I'm at shows, I'm seeing majority for vintage. I'm not talking about anything modern or TCG. It's either SGC or PSA slabs dominating the display cases. Dealers are obviously going with those two grading companies, have gone with those grading companies for years because of the reputation and the turn, obviously there's I don't know. I'd have to do some research and dig in to see how SGC became what it is. Did Peter build this revamped version of SGC, or was it happening even before he showed up? I don't know. Jacob's asking, when you're at show, Sammy, are you hearing anything about Beckett graded cards? Not really. I've never really had anybody come out. Like, I've never had somebody showcase a Beckett card with highlighting a certain card. It's always either been PSA or SGC. Didn't SGC build a bunch of brand equity when OGs like Lionel Carter sold off their collections way back when? All uphill from there. Reputation and accuracy is everything, sadly no longer a priority. Yeah. Unfortunately, the simple days are gone. The need for grading is here to stay. Becca was at the show. Was at the Saturday. No one was in line. And Dylan's ranking his toughness on vintage grading: PSA, SGC, CGC, BVG. Okay. I think I've said everything I had to say. So, if anyone has any other questions or comments regarding what we talked about, happy to stick around for a few more minutes. Otherwise, it's going to be the Alex Bowman 53 is going to be doing Card Room Live at 8 p.m. and then 9 p.m. for collectors, Eastern Standard Time, of course. So triple header. I'm going to try to continue to. I'm going to try to do my best to do more of these every Sunday. I'd be amiss to not showcase some cards. I don't know if you guys remember that I have a Mathewson collection. I feel as though, I should remind you guys every now and then that I am a Mathewson collector, in case you forgot. So let's show off some Mathewson stuff, shall we? I've probably shown all these cards already. Here's one for you. Durham Duplex Razor. How about that? Oh, got a question. What's on the show docket for you until the National? Anything further south? Funny you should say that, Dan. I'm going to be, I'm going to be coming to Maryland in a few weeks. So I don't know if there's any shows in a few weeks, but I'll be there in a few weeks. Outside of that, nothing really on the agenda. This next Saturday is a card show I'm setting up at in Brooklyn. And then after that, it's kind of a not 100% sure. But yeah. Mookie, you're too funny. I have heard about the PSA news, and I spent the entire time talking a lot about that, unless there's new news that while this live stream has started happening. Amazing. Let's see. What else can I show? Spend the next few minutes. How about this one? 1910 E93 Standard Caramel. Probably overpaid for this, but it's a stunning card. Bought it from Stan at the 2025 Strongsville at the ice rink. This was my first REA auction win. Unger Baking Company postcard of the Giants. First time winning anything in auction. It's a new card, the Fatima. Got this at this year's Strongsville from Tony Monster Cards. There's Jim Thorpe on it. Pretty cool. All right, I think you guys suffered enough. I hope everybody has a good rest of your weekend, rest of your Sunday. And Card Room Live, Alex Bowman 53, 8 p.m. Head over there. And 9 p.m. for Collectors. I don't know who's hosting. You'll find out. You can do a search for 4 Collectors. I'm sure you can get the thumbnail and figure out who it is. But then I can do the same. Take care, everybody. Keep on grading.